Hi, everyone. I'm here with Diane, and it's been a while since we've said hello to everybody in our community. So, welcome to our mastery community. And it's February 15th, 2023. And there's a lot going on in the world. And we thought it would be nice to have some dialogue together and then bring in the Grand Council. So, hi, Diane.
Hi, Megan.
Yeah. So, what have we been talking about that prompted us to put something out there for people?
Well, what we've been doing is sending out marketing for our individual mastery operating system journey, which is we shorten to IMOS and refer to it that way. And we found that whilst there was huge interest in it, there was hesitance on the part of everyone except for two people to actually sign up and go through it. And part of that is that people are very busy now that a lot of the COVID restrictions have been lifted, and people are starting to engage in external activities like they weren't before, or catching up or getting a job or what all the other things that traveling, that's what a lot of people are doing. And a lot of fear about finances, even people that are well-heeled are expressing that they're concerned that their money isn't going to stretch or cover or be there or whatever. So, pardon me, there's a lot of people that are looking at the way the world is working and the way their lives are intersecting with that, with a lot of fear and trepidation and hesitation. I think maybe in the mastery community, it's more hesitation than it is the other two. Certainly, recently we've had the ridiculously horrible situation in Turkey and Syria with the earthquakes and 35,000 plus people being murdered through the process. Well, not murdered, I guess. An earthquake doesn't go out with that murderous intent, but anyway, dying. And then hundreds of thousands of people being misplaced, displaced, or injured. So that kind of vibration is out in the field. And I know quite a number of people who are very sensitive, empathic people who are really getting knocked off their own feet just from the energies of that.
Yeah.
From the what do I do with this? It's too overwhelmingly sad and too much suffering for my own system to be able to deal with it. So there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, just a fraction of them that I'm aware of, because I don't watch regular news or listen to it even. So it's whatever filters in for me that I'm aware of. What about you? What do you think prompted us to do this?
Well, I personally have been going back to some basic mastery tools every single day, like recalibrating to my true north. And even though I practice that every day, I've been really aware that I needed even more. And so I've been practicing going up my spine and up, my chakras above my spine and calibrating to my higher self, true north. Because the clients that I'm working with, people are being buffeted around by a lot of powerful energies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just returning to these really powerful, basic mastery tools that you and I have found so useful to, so true north, coming back to my mastery and asking myself every day, am I on purpose? Am I being masterful in this area? Where might I, tweak or be more aligned with my true self? So that's what I'm finding, and how important it is to return to these really basic mastery tools.
To build on that, one of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is making sure that I'm really, really committed to living my blueprint as closely as I know it to be and as I humanly can. And that requires me to be congruent as energetically and also between what I say, what I do, how I behave, what I think. Even in the darkest hours of the night, that I'm as masterful as I know how to be.
Yeah.
And that's not, it's not an artificial discipline. It's actually, I'm finding it a strength.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that allows me then to stay in true north because I'm consistently living and being what it is I say I'm here to do and be and have.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And I think a lot of times what happens is when we listen to tragedy or we listen to uncertainty, or we listen to social conditioning, or whatever it is that is throwing us a curveball. Pardon me. As long as we are integral, I think, with whatever it is that we value and that we live in a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, we are much better equipped than the person who's reacting to these crazy stimuli that are in the world right now, through news, through events, through all kinds of things. So I'm deeply grateful for the work that we've done, and True North is a place to live in. If those of you that are listening to this are not yet clear about what True North is, you can go on to the website, ancientfuture.today, and there's a whole section on True North. There's sections on all of the tools that we're using, the journeys that we do, and there's so much material there that you can actually find and learn these things in some measure without having to do anything more than just really sit with the material and imagine, or look at the archetypal images of the robes that Megan has created and that we use extensively in the work, to bring yourself into alignment with the higher expression of who you know yourself to be at this point.
Yeah.
That then gives you the strength to set boundaries if you need to, with people and relationships, to be able to say no to opportunities that you might otherwise just say yes to out of habit, and then find yourself in a situation that doesn't work, to overload yourself with activities or duties or responsibilities, when in fact what would serve you through this period of time would be to focus and to say no to, or not now or later, or part of it but not all of it. So learning to be assertive masterfully as well. So lots of different things that you and I are really privileged to have worked with over these many, 15 years now that we've been doing the project, to be able to access those things ourselves and work with them. Recently, I heard someone suggest that the best thing we can do in the world, each of us, as a gift from ourselves to the world, is to be a living example of what we believe in. And that's rather heady. I rather like that.
Though.
Yeah, isn't that lovely? Yeah.
Great.
So we have been told that the Grand Council is keen to come and visit and talk to all of us. So
yeah, let's do it.
Shall we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So those of you that are listening, if you'd like, even in this recording, you can still close your eyes, put your feet on the ground, feel your sits bones and your spine as straight as possible, and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, 3 wonderful, refreshing breaths. And they do not need to be particularly deep, just full. Well, it is indeed our pleasure, as always, to be invited to come to speak with you and the Mastery community and any and all other comers who would like to consider things differently than they may on their own. And so how are you, the Megan, and how can we be of service of this fine day? Thank you.
Thank you, Grand Council. I'm doing very well. We thought it would be helpful and interesting to hear from you about the kinds of chaotic energies that are being buffeted, that we are being buffeted around by, whenever we say, oh, it couldn't get more chaotic or couldn't get more crazy, it seems to get more chaotic and crazy. So it would be really helpful to hear your perspective on maybe some ways we can cope through this chaos, and anything else that would be juicy for us to know. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, you are quite right. The more of you who tear your hair out or rent your breasts or whatever you do, going, oh, it can't get any worse, can it? contributing to the fact that it can get as crazy and crazier all the time with the co-creative capabilities that each and all of you have as divine beings in human form on planet Earth. And so a lot of what you are experiencing is the deterioration of old, stale, static looking sort of paradigms that are well past their sell-by date by thousands of linear speak years. And you are seeing the nascent beginnings, perhaps, and we have repeated ourselves there with both of those words, the beginnings and the nascent birth cries of a whole new world filled with possibilities that are all vying for space and time and for your attentions, because you are the creators of all of this going forward. What is so extraordinarily difficult for most humans on your planet at this time is that most do not know or remember, would be more likely and more accurate, that they are masters on masterful journeys, just like everyone else is, all of you in human form and in other animal form and in the plant worlds as well, etc. Crystals are masters in their own realms. All of you, all of sentience, all of life on planet Gaia and elsewhere in the universe, multiverse, is masterful because it is a shard, a molecule, a facet, whatever, the DNA of creation. So none of it can be not masterful in its own right and in its own definition, which is rather interesting to imagine. So if everything is masterful and you have things like human trafficking and starvation and the inability to collapse buildings off of people because you do not have enough equipment or drivers for your forklifts, or all of these sorts of things that are happening right now in February of 2023 on your planet. It is difficult for a person who does not believe that she, he, or it is masterful, nor on a masterful journey. Because when you are not master, you are victim. You are not necessarily slave. That is a paradigm unto itself that we are unwilling to engage in our conversations because it is just a construct. Victim now is something that all humans have been, will do, will be, in order to understand what not master means. So there are many who would consider themselves victims in their lives from birth to death, or in extraordinary circumstances, such as this earthquake or financial collapse of the international monetary markets, or anything, World War III, whatever, balloons flying over your country while they are taking all the surveillance they like and then being shot down, which is one of the more comical things we have been watching recently. And it is not comical that there are people on your planet who do not have clean water to drink or to bathe in or to grow their crops with. It is not comical that you have people that are fleeing their own homes and leaving their families to seek peace, to seek prosperity, to seek opportunity, to seek freedom somewhere in a country that they've only heard about. And this is happening all over the place with your refugees here, there, everywhere. It is a nomadic period of time in your history, herstory. Again, very much like it was when humans were beginning to move out of their small clannish areas, realizing that there was a larger world to explore. And so these people who are seeking a better life elsewhere, even though they only know about it from someone else, they do not know that it is true other than what they have heard. risk everything. And many of them lose their lives in the process, and the lives of their children, if the children are in the boats that capsize or that are left at sea because a country will not pick them up and shelter and nurture and celebrate and integrate them into their own lives. So there are many, many, and we are just going on to a very few of the dynamics that are causing and resulting from the chaos in your world right now. What say you to any of this or none? And we will carry on if you have nothing to add at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually don't have anything to add.
Well, let us ask you a question then, may we? Thank
Sure.
you.
Yes.
We are curious about what you see to be creating the chaos yourself. You have had multiple conversations about this with the Oracle, often with us, with your clients, with other people that you know in the world. What is it for you, dear Megan, that you feel causes this chaos? Thank you.
It's an interesting question because I don't think so much about what causes it. I think about how to stay in equanimity when it's happening. I do believe we are creating this reality, and it does feel to me like, they talk about a bifurcation at this point where there are people who are co-creating harmony and solutions to big problems, and our mastery community and lots of other communities. And then there are people who are creating more chaos, more greed, taking advantage of people who are disadvantaged. So it does feel like there's an active co-creation of both of those roads that are leading in very different directions. So I do believe we're co-creating it. There's no doubt about it. So I guess that's my answer. Thank you.
And very well spoken and very true. And in addition to the bifurcation that has been there forever in a dualistic realm, such as your Earth has been for so long, there are myriad and endless iterations of both of those directions, if you will, assuming that they do diverge. And that everything and then some in between and beyond either of those extremes is up for grabs right now. So when one is navigating through life on one's own without calibration to their own mastery, to others' mastery, to their wiring, which is where the IMOS work comes in. It is mastery operating system for individuals. And when you know how you are wired energetically, and you and the Oracle are good examples of people who are harmonious, who can work together, who do co-create consciously, who are very differently wired from one another. And this is what makes it possible for the two of you to hold a field of stable love, light, and laughter for others who are attracted to that, to join in and find their own and create their own niche within that very, very high resonant field. It is that sort of thing that most people are missing because they are only defined by who they personally are. They are self-righteous about the way that they move through life. And if they are mean, or they are one way or another to people, and some people don't like it, well, that's just the way it is. No, what a master would go with that would be, how am I co-creating a situation with this individual that causes that response to me as the stimulus? Or am I to take this as feedback or just a projection from this individual? So as a master, you have these opportunities because you are so very aware of the fact that you are co-creating every single thing, every single relationship, every single thought, deed, and creation. We will just use that word again. You are generating it, as is the other person in this make-believe scenario. They are generating their thoughts about you and about how you are affecting them. Is it not a wonder that anyone ever understands the other or gets an idea that propels both of you forward in an exalted sort of way or even a positive sort of way? We just marvel at that all the time because most people talk at each other. Masters learn to have a healthy curiosity about the other and to honor before having proof that the other is worth the honor. That is part of being masterful, is extending the assumption that the other is a master on a masterful journey as well, and affording that other respect and your most harmonious self at all times, if possible. For if you are taking care of yourself and you are minding the ship that you are on, taking a masterful journey, and it is clean, and it is in good repair, and it is welcoming and warm, and has a certain set of values for honesty or whatever it is for you as a master that is high on your list of values, then you will invite those other masters naturally by magnetizing them to those resonances of your values. Whereas if you are a person who speaks one way and behaves another, thinking that you're so much cleverer than others, or maybe you're just not congruent enough to understand that you're doing that you're saying one thing and doing other things, or if you are a person that lives one way publicly and another way privately, assuming that people will not know because you're so very clever, or if you are a person who is corrupt at work and then behaves as if you are a darling at home and in community, or you cheat people and then you make a good business and everyone thinks you're a good business person, let us say that. Or if you are a hardworking, honest being, maybe not well educated in the systems of education, and every day you give life your best and you honor your life by doing so, you are closer to being a master than he or she who lives in a mansion and lives in that incongruent way we have just been describing. The incongruence of beings is what helps create such high degrees of chaos in your world. And all of you look now to your governors and your senators and your prime ministers and your queens and kings and their dysfunctional families, etc., 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 and point your fingers at them, your entertainers, the people that you used to worship because they were so beautiful and glamorous and creative and free to sing at the top of their lungs in beautiful places, etc., etc. Well, they are just humans as well. And they have ridden the accolades of all of you that you have given to them for long enough now that that structure itself is starting to crumble because they are humans. They are under the same exact stresses that all of you are. Even if they have billions of dollars, they're worried about losing their billions, where you may be worried about losing your hundreds or your nothings or your food stamps or your whatever. Everyone, every human on planet Earth right now has concerns, even if they are Buddhist nuns and monks somewhere in Cambodia or Vietnam or Tibet or other places where they have been trained to withdraw from that sort of thing. They are still in the milieu. They are in the soup with all of the rest of you, whether they like it or not, or think they are or not. And they are having to work extra diligently these days to keep those things out of their own milieu. So you see, it is a soup, a very big, big soup, if you think of your entire planet. It is a planet-sized soup tureen. And all of you are the ingredients in the chaos soup. And those of you that are finding a way to define your mastery for yourselves, finding one another in order to be able to triangulate and configure with others who are responsible for themselves. They are growing themselves up into being adults with healthy inner children inside, and knowing their own essences and practicing this, that, and the other disciplines, routines, whatever, recognizing that out of the 8,000 thoughts they might have a day, that only 1 or 2 are probably worth really listening to, and the rest of them can just come and go or transform into something that is nicer to think about than the negative and critical things that all of you do think about from time to time. So you see, there are many, many, even small to large things that every individual could be doing masterfully, if only they knew that it were possible. The younger generations, some of them have not gone to sleep like the older generations did, typically around the age of 8, when you were old enough to realize that your privileges as a child, if you were brought up in some sort of privilege as a child, that your privileges as a child were sell-by date was due by 8. And so after that age, many of you just decided to go functionally dormant in terms of your spirituality and your knowing of yourself as master, and as in knowing everything you needed to know for your life's journey. And you brought the veil of forgetfulness around yourselves and began to give in to the norms, began to give in to the disciplines that were imposed upon you by family, by society, by school, by law, by church, by whatever. And the few of you that did decide to stay aware and awake learned to play as if you were not awake, because you saw it to be dangerous, and that was very smart of you to understand. Then there were those of you who just went comatose at birth, because that's what your blueprint required of you in order to have a new experience incarnated as a human. So from birth, you forgot everything about all the millions of lives you have had in other realms as other beings, as sparks of energy, as a molecule of creator. And each lifetime you have incarnated, you have had a new experience, because you did not drag your conscious self with you. You remembered bits and pieces of it here, there. Sometimes only at the point of death from a lifetime would you remember who you really are, which is a divine being having a human experience as master on a masterful journey. So you see, with all of these various different agendas and various different strategies on your planet, it is folly to assume that as humanity goes, you could possibly harmonize all of that on the scale of the global family and all move in the same direction toward love, light, and laughter. Now, it is not folly to do that yourselves, to be the living example so that others see that it is possible to be serene, it is possible to be happy, it is possible to be healthy. And it's also possible to be serene, happy, and well in your being, even when you are not healthy. If you are deformed, or you are disabled, or you are indisposed because of illness, or whatever it might be, you can still be a living example of light, love, and laughter, and wisdom, and perspective that is masterful. So what we are going to say is not, oh, well, here's this chaos, that chaos, this was caused by this, that, and the other than what we have said already. All of you are causing the chaos. All of you are part of the generation of the chaos. All of you are feeding the chaos by listening to it and by paying attention to it. Of course, it is imperative that you have compassion and that you mobilize to assist each other when there are tragedies on any scale, even if it is one family's home that burns. All of you in the community can, and we would suggest must, rally to assist people who lose things, or who are lost, or who do become unwell or cannot feed themselves or lose their homes due to mortgages or unmet, or cars breaking down and not being able to drive to works, or whatever it might be. All of you are there to assist the other on your masterful journeys. And it is an unfortunate thing about certain cultures, about certain social economic levels, and also certainly in the ways of your modern living in one family dwellings separated by lawns and fences and gated communities in some cases, or that you are not designed to live like that. It is so counter to what the human spirit and heart are. You are designed to live essentially in villages. Yes, with your own space to be quiet or to pick your nose or to do whatever it is that you wish to do in private. You are not designed, though, to eat dinner with the same person night after night after night without having the village be part of that with you and you with them. You are not designed to pass those milestones in life where you move from toddler to child and child to adolescent and adolescent to adult and adult to parent, and parent to grandparent and grandparent to elder. All of those passages are intended to be taken in the both scrutiny and celebration of a village, of those with whom you live intimately. So this is the major reason why chaos has a stronghold in many of your cultures and most of your countries, especially in Western and European countries, because you have let the villages go. Even if people are living in a physical village, let us say in a small burg in Europe, many of them are newcomers who are not integrated easily by the old God, so to speak, and so never really become part of the village, although they may function at the farmers' markets and this, that, and the other. They are not fully integrated because they are not welcomed properly. Or what about the refugees who come in great numbers and are feared by the locals, so they are kept in camps? They are not integrated. They are treated as if they are livestock somewhere in a field somewhere to be dealt with, not integrated into villages that are multicultural and could leverage the strengths of those sorts of things if you just would. And you don't, because you have learned to be afraid of strangers. You have learned to fear what you do not know. You have learned to promulgate the fear. You've learned to, if you wish to interact with that, many of you take a holiday and go somewhere where the skin color is different, where those people are serving you in their country and you are paying them to have an intercultural interaction. You're not moving there to be their neighbors or their sisters or their wives or their grandmothers at some point. And were they to come and do that in your community, some of you would really raise a commotion about that. Some of you have. Some of those of you who are listening, if you're honest, you would say, no, I do not wish to have those people as my neighbors, as my village, co-village population. In fact, I'm not willing to live in a village because then my feet are to the fire. And if I am not a living example of what I promulgate or what I preach or what I teach, then somebody will know about that. And I'm not ready to be that scrutinized. I'm not ready to be that intimate. Well, that is happening all over your world. And we guarantee those populations who have learned, either by just being fortunate enough to have been born into village mentality and village structure, are far more resilient than those of you who are isolated in your 1, 2, 3 person family with your 15, 18 person extended families, and then you marry and maybe you have twice that, and then perhaps a few college and primary school friends along the way. that's not enough people, and you do not see them often enough, and you are not living next door to each other or in the same house or in the same longhouse with them, in order to become interdependent in the ways that humans are designed to be. And now, of course, with your virtual relationships, even worse, because it allows you to turn a machine on and off to have a relationship with someone, which is just another step away rather than a step closer. So we've shown you how chaos is rampant, what contributes to it. Now, the ways that you deal with it are that you become honest with yourself. Are you hiding from intimate relationships with a larger world? Or are you pretending that you are really international and you are really multicultural and you are really open to having everyone be part of your life in some way, shape, or another, or some iteration thereof? Just be honest with yourself, because that is the masterful starting place. And when you do that, then are you willing to make changes if you feel that village would be a good direction to take the world? Lots of villages where you could live in a village and then walk or fly or somehow figure out how to get to the next village and have fun with them, party with them, exchange agricultural practices and produce and all the different things that you would be doing if the structure on your planet were more of a village structure than it is now. Are there disadvantages to that? Of course. No one really gets to run roughshod over another. If you have village governance where everyone must agree that this, that, or the other is the way to go, and that there are representatives who are skilled in communication and conflict resolution and collaboration. And when there is a barn to raise because the sheep need a place to stay in the winter, there are more than enough people ready, able, willing, and eager to raise the barn together. These sorts of things are what most of you are missing in your lives, which is why there is such fear about what you do have and what you do and what you are being disappearing in your lifetime as you know them. For you are at risk when you are so isolated, when you live in ways that you live. So first of all, as a master, if you wish to lower the quotient of chaos in your own personal life, get honest with yourself about who you truly are. And then pursue what is masterful about being a human being. And that is that you are wired for love. Every single person on planet Earth is wired for love. Even those who are so distorted and so confused about what life really is all about as a human, even those people are wired for love. They just have a lot of distortions in between their understandings and their deliveries of that. And so it is that we ask you to do your own work, find out what your wiring is, optimize it, clean it out, get into the crevices with a toothbrush and get that crusty, musty, dusty, or slimy, tar-like sort of stuck energies that you have had there for centuries out of your system so that the environment can transform it into energy or whatever it will do with that. And then you go bare-ass naked on your journey as a master on a masterful journey, as a new babe in some ways, with every knowledge that you have ever had as a being of the universe. Remember, you are a molecule of creator. You know everything you need to know. You can remember it when you decide and make a commitment to be a master who will live in times of chaos, in times of beauty, in times of peace, harmony, health, joy, love, beauty, etc. And then you will live in another sort of place, because that is what the spirit of life is all about. There are good times, bad times. There are storms, there are sunny days. There are flowers, and then there are volcanoes that erupt. There are this, that, and the other in every way. Life is like that on your planet, on many planets in the multiverse. And when you are no longer incarnate as human or wolf or sequoia tree or river or whatever you may incarnate to experience, you will be a molecule in the multiverse. And that molecule is nothing but love. That is a different sort of chaos. It is a chaos built on harmony. It is a chaos that is molecules coming up against one another all the time and bouncing in and creating something and then moving away without recrimination, without anything but beauty, celebration, and love. Those are times when you need not even think about being a master, because you are in masterful molecule form at that point. So Megan, we would like for you, just as a quick sort of thing before we all take our leave, to describe the IMOS journey and True North as two tools that people have available through the Ancient Future Today. And we understand that right now is a hard time for people to make decisions, to take a journey of 12 weeks and to spend $1,888 US to journey. And yet it is the time that most people who are listening to this really could use that sort of structure to their greatest advantage. Now, we are not hard selling. We are inviting, and we are holding it out on a platter. Take it now, take it again another time, take it for the first time another time, take it in years to come, for this is a tool that will not have a sell-by date. So please take us into the ending of this. We would like to have a minute at the very end. Thank you.
Thank you, Grand Council. Yes, the IMOS, which stands for Individual Mastery Operating System, is a wonderful journey that we've devised with the Grand Council. And it is a journey to affirm one's own chakra wiring. So we have 7 chakras. We've got more than that, and we only work with the 7 chakras in this journey. And it's affirming which are the predominant chakras that I use. So some people have a predominant third eye chakra, or a predominant sacral chakra, or predominant heart. And then we match our chakras with different mastery archetypes that seem to fit how we operate in the world. So, for example, somebody might have a leader archetype that they place at their solar plexus. And so that's how they use that third chakra energy, is as a leader. Some people in the heart might be a peace bringer, and that's how they want to and desire to work with their heart energy. So by the end of the journey, you have all 7 chakras matched up with 7 archetypes that you feel are your top mastery archetypes. And what I have found personally is that once I understand what my mastery archetypes are that I am using and utilizing through my 7 chakras, it's like getting into my vehicle, like my Ferrari, and really being able to drive my individual vehicle in a masterful way, with more control, more consciousness, more love. And so it's almost like, well, it's like getting to know your wiring, your particular unique way that you navigate through the world. And I know for me, it has increased my confidence. I am so much more able to be on point in my spine, in my true north, because I'm really connecting with my true self all the way up and down my spine. So it's a wonderful way to have more confidence about your own wiring and which archetypal energies that you have come here to utilize: shaman or queen or king or leader or communicator. It's a wonderfully rich and fun exercise, and we do it in a group. and we have a lot of fun together in the group doing this journey together. So I think that's all I have to say about that right now, Grand Council. So why don't you go ahead and finish up? Thank you.
And we thank you for that, for we have been speaking in stream of consciousness, as all of you who, if you were able to stay with us, have realized, that we are not speaking to your left linear logical mind at all. We are speaking to your whole brain, the brain that knows the truth, the brain that is the impulse electrical transfer mechanism in your wiring that sends the impulses to the rest of you. And your heart is what interprets. Your heart is what knows the truth. So when you allow your brains to decide what is true and what is not, we would, in every case, say that you have only made half a good thought. For indeed, your heart, if it is connected through your conscious wiring to your mind and your brain and your mind in your brain with the mind in your heart. And of course, now your scientists are finding that there is a mind in your guts as well, which is why some people make really good decisions. When it comes to the brain, they check it with the heart and then they verify it with their guts. I have a gut feeling about this? That is the mind in the gut saying, yes, all right. So when you are aligned through conscious awareness of how you are structured, what kind of strategy you have employed in this life to navigate through every day and every experience, you are most well equipped to make the best decisions of your life, day in, day out, moment in, moment out, as you can possibly be. And once you know this, you begin to move into a state of being, all of who you are, a state of relaxing into knowing without having to work very hard at it. A doing that is focused based on who you truly are rather than on your fears or on your assumptions. All of this is masterful work. And it goes from there for the rest of this incarnation, however blessedly long it will be for each and all of you. So whilst we are here to assist and we are here to help you calibrate to ever better and more enjoyable lives, let us say how much we respect each and every one of you, even though it sounds like we may have criticisms of you. It is not. We are speaking fact. And you are the ones who are hearing criticism if you are feeling it. For indeed, this is a laboratory. This planet of yours, Gaia, has hosted countless civilizations over lengthy periods of time, millions and millions and millions of years. And all have learned in a particular way at a particular time. And many of you have returned to have another go at it, and another and another and another, as a particularly rich learning experience to be embodied in human form or other form on your planet. So as you are in the laboratory, as you are doing your research about love, and that is really what it is all about, and you are having this, that, and the other human experiences, please, when it gets a bit much for you, just remind yourself that it is a journey and that it is a masterful journey and that you are master on your particular masterful journey alongside and in parallel with many, many others, billions of other souls, all doing the same thing, experimenting, checking, researching, drawing conclusions, testing conclusions. And it all goes very quickly. So we would ask you to have as much love, as much laughter, and to live with and as much light as you can, as you know to do. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Have compassion and passion for life. And until we have the pleasure and the honor of addressing you again in this and many other ways to come, we ask you to go with our love in every blessing. And for now, a very fond and loving Adieu.
So thank you, Diane. Thank you, Grand Council. Great to be with everyone. See you soon.
Lots of love, everybody. Take care.